The strange creature in the woods. It was a cold, rainy night. The wind was strong and the sky was full of dark clouds. In a small town near the edge of the forest, a young man named Jake was sitting alone in his cabin. He lived there quietly, away from the noise of the city. Jake liked peace. He was a mechanic, good with tools, and often fixed machines in the town. That night, he was drinking hot tea and reading an old book. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound outside. It was not a normal animal sound. It was soft like a cry, but also sharp, almost like a machine breaking down. Jake stood up quickly. He took his flashlight and stepped outside. The rain was falling hard and the wind pushed against his coat. He followed the sound into the woods behind his cabin. The sound became louder, and then he saw it. Under a tree in the wet mud, something was lying there. It was glowing faintly blue and silver. At first, Jake thought it was some kind of robot, but then it moved. It was alive. The creature was small, almost like a big cat or a baby deer. Its eyes were large and glowing white. Its skin looked soft but strange, like glass and skin mixed together. On its neck, there was a round metal collar. It was damaged, sparks coming from one side. Jake walked closer slowly. The creature looked at him with fear, but also with pain. And then Jake heard something inside his head. "Help, please!" Jake stepped back in shock. What was that? He whispered. There was no sound in the air. The voice had not come through ears. It came straight into his mind. The creature tried to stand but fell. It was too weak. Jake looked around. No one was there. No cameras. No tricks. He made a decision. Jake took off his jacket, wrapped it around the creature, and carefully picked it up. It was warm, and its body was shaking. As he touched the metal collar, the sparks stopped. "Thank you," the voice whispered again. In his mind, back at the cabin, Jake placed the creature on a soft rug near the fire. He brought warm water and some bandages. Though he didn't know alien biology, he did what he could. As the fire warmed the room, the creature slowly opened its eyes. Its body was still glowing softly. Jake noticed that the collar had small lights on it, green, red, and one blinking blue. It almost looked like a signal device. Then something happened. The collar projected a small hologram into the air. It showed the image of a beautiful alien woman, tall, silver hair, glowing eyes like the creature. She looked sad. Her voice came out, soft and broken. "If you find my pet, please help it. Please take care of her. Her name is Yulo. She is all I have left." The message repeated. Jake stared at the image. "What is this?" he said quietly. "Who are you?" The creature Yulo looked at him again. This time, Jake felt more than words. "Danger is coming. They will follow. They want me dead." Suddenly, outside the cabin, all the lights flickered. The power cut off. Jake ran to the window. In the sky, above the trees, he saw two small red lights. They were moving. Watching, he ducked down quickly. He had seen planes, drones, and satellites, but this was different. The lights moved silently and with purpose. He looked at Yulo. She was breathing slowly now, but still weak. Jake knew his life was about to change. He didn't know where this creature came from. He didn't know who the woman was. But something told him this was important. He grabbed a bag and started packing supplies: water, tools, flashlight, batteries. Outside, the red lights disappeared into the clouds. "They will come soon," the voice in his head said again. "They are not kind." Jake looked down at Yulo. He nodded slowly. "I don't know what's going on," he said, "but I'm not going to let them take you." Suddenly, the collar flashed bright white and a burst of light filled the room. Jake fell to the ground, unconscious, silence. That's how it began. Not the quiet kind of silence, but the deep, unnatural silence that fills the air after something powerful happens. Jake opened his eyes. He was lying on the wooden floor of his cabin, staring at the roof. The air felt heavy, and there was a soft humming sound around him, like distant wind or space. He slowly sat up. His head hurt. His hands were shaking. And then he remembered. The creature. The light. The voice. Jake turned his head. The creature Yellow was still there, lying near the fire. Her body was glowing slightly. The room was dim, but the collar on her neck now had a new light. A soft gold light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jake crawled over. "Hey, you okay?" Yellow didn't speak. But a wave of calmness touched Jake's mind. She was alive. The collar beeped once. Then, without warning, the air above Yellow shimmered and a large hologram appeared in the middle of the room. Not small like before. This one was life-size. An alien woman stood tall. Silver hair flowed behind her. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing like stars. She wore a royal robe made of soft, moving light. Her face was beautiful, but full of sadness. She looked directly at Jake. "To the one who finds this message," she said in perfect soft English, "I am Princess Avara of Lutherus. My pet, Yellow, is more than just a friend. She carries something they want, something that could destroy my world or save it." Jake stared at the projection, stunned. "If you are kind, if you are brave, please protect her. I have hidden something inside her, something they must never find." The message glitched for a second, static. Then her voice returned, slightly more desperate. "They are hunters. They destroy what they don't understand. If they know you helped her, they will come for you too." Then the image froze. The lights flickered. The power returned with the spark. Jake stood slowly. What is inside her? Why are they hunting her? He looked at Yellow. Her eyes opened again, slowly. Memory, code, secret. A voice whispered in his mind. "I don't remember it all. They took it from me." Jake swallowed hard. "And now they're coming here." He rushed to the window. The red lights from last night were gone, but something else was there now. A strange mark burned into the ground near the forest edge. A perfect circle, blackened into the earth, still steaming. No human machine could make that dot. He turned back. "We have to move." But before he could pack anything, the collar beeped again. This time, a new signal appeared, a small dot on the holographic map. It was blinking. Jake stared at it. "What is that?" Yellow slowly stood on her four legs, weak but balanced. Her tail moved carefully. She pointed her head toward the blinking light. "That's the first key," the voice said in his head. "The first part of what they took from me." Jake rubbed his face. "So it's a treasure hunt now? With aliens watching us?" He looked down at Yellow. She looked back with trust. Something deep inside him shifted. He had spent years alone, fixing broken things, machines, engines, even a few broken hearts. But this was different. This wasn't just about fixing something. It was about saving someone. Jake nodded slowly. "Okay, then let's go find your memory." He grabbed a backpack, filled it with tools, food, water, and one old photo of his family. He looked around his cabin one last time. Maybe he'd return. Maybe not. Outside, the rain had stopped. The air smelled like metal. As they stepped into the forest, Yellow's collar flashed one last time and sent out a soft pulse signal. Far away, in the darkness of space, a satellite caught the signal, and somewhere deep in that space, a black ship turned toward Earth. A voice growled inside that ship. "We have them. Prepare the hunters." It started with the wind. Not the normal kind of wind, but one that moved without sound. Trees didn't sway. Leaves didn't fall. But the cold passed through everything. Like something unseen was moving fast above them. Jake stopped walking. Yulo stopped too. They were deep in the forest now, about 3 miles from Jake's cabin. The air smelled different here, like metal and burned plastic. Jake looked up. The sky was cloudy, but something was blinking behind the clouds. A flash, then another. He turned to Yulo. You feel that? The creature's eyes glowed brighter. The collar on her neck pulsed once, then dimmed. Jake had learned something by now. When the collar dimmed, danger was close, very close. They kept walking, moving quietly between trees. Jake had no real weapons, just a flashlight, a folding knife, and a wrench in his bag. But his mind was sharp, and his gut told him they were not alone anymore. They found an old road, broken and unused. Moss had covered most of it and rusted. Signs lay flat on the ground. That's when Jake saw the black van. No lights. No license plate. It was parked behind some bushes, hidden. And it was not from around here. Jake ducked down. He whispered, "Stay close." He moved quietly toward the van. No sound. No movement inside. He touched the handle. It opened without effort. Too easy. Inside, the dashboard was full of alien tech, glowing buttons, spinning symbols, and a small black screen with Jake's face on it. He froze. Target. Human contact confirmed. DNA matched. Level. Threat. The voice came from the screen. A deep, cold voice. Not male. Not female. Just wrong. Jake stepped back, heart pounding. From behind, a branch snapped. He spun around. Something tall and black stood at the edge of the trees. It had no face, just a smooth mask like glass. Its body was long and made of dark, rubbery armor. Its fingers were sharp like knives. It tilted its head. Then another one appeared beside it, and another. 3 in total. Jake grabbed Yulo and ran. They darted into the forest. Trees whipped past. Yulo moved fast, but she was still weak. Jake could hear the strange creatures behind him, not running, not shouting, just appearing again and again ahead of him, behind him, like ghosts. Think, Jake. Think. He remembered something. The old ranger tower nearby. It had metal stairs, an old generator, and maybe still had power. They reached it. The tower stood tall, old and rusty, but strong. Jake pushed Yulo inside the bottom room and ran up the stairs. He found the generator and tried to start it. Nothing. He kicked it. Come on, old girl. One more try, and it buzzed to life. The tower lit up. Down below, the creatures stopped. They didn't move forward. Jake noticed they were keeping distance from the tower's metal walls and electric hum. Interesting, he shouted. Yulo! Your collar. Plug it in. She looked up. The collar had a port. Jake grabbed a broken radio wire and quickly connected it to the collar. A light flashed. Suddenly, a new hologram appeared. This one was not a message. It was a map showing where the nearest signal was located. Not far, just 20 kilometers east, near a mountain. But then, the screen glitched. And a new face appeared. Not the princess. A hunter. His face was part machine. His eye was glowing red. The other side burned like melted rock. His voice came through like static and thunder. You should not have touched what is not yours, human. Jake stared at him. Who are you? We are the erasers. We take what should not exist. Jake's voice turned cold. She's not a thing. She's alive. The hunter smiled, if that twisted mouth could be called a smile. Then you will both die like living things. The image vanished. Jake ran down the stairs. We're not safe here. But I know where we're going. Yulo's collar now glowed brighter than ever. Jake helped her up. She was tired, but determined. As they walked into the night, Jake whispered, Next stop, the mountain. Let's find your memory before they erase you. Far behind, in the shadow of the trees, One of the hunters touched the tower with a long finger. It sparked and burned. Hunt had just begun. The mountain did not welcome them. Cold wind screamed between the rocks. Sharp stones cut through Jake's boots. Yulo limped beside him, breathing hard, her glow dim. They had been walking for hours. The forest was far behind. So was safety. But ahead, something called to them. A signal, a memory, a truth waiting in the dark. Jake stopped at the mountain's edge. The map from Yulo's collar pointed straight up the rocky slope. He looked at her. "We're close. Can you climb?" Yulo didn't answer in words, but her eyes said yes. Together, they moved up. Step by step. Wind howled louder. Then the sky cracked open. Not with thunder, not with lightning, but with light. A bright, golden beam fell from the sky, not down to earth, but across the sky like a bridge of stars. It moved silently, cutting through the clouds. Jake shielded his eyes. From the heart of that light, a shape descended. Not falling, not flying, just appearing. A ship, sleek, silver, shining with energy. It floated above the mountain like a bird made of light. Jake stepped back. "What is that?" Yulo's collar pulsed wildly. A circle opened under the ship and a soft hum filled the air. Then, from the center of the ship, a single beam of light touched the ground. And she stepped out. Not walking, not floating, just arriving. The princess. Tall, glowing, wrapped in silver blue robes that flowed like water. Her hair shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes burned with starlight. Jake froze. For a moment he forgot the cold, the mountain, even himself. She looked at him. Not like a stranger, not like a threat, like she had known him forever. Yulo limped forward and cried softly. The princess fell to her knees. She opened her arms. Yulo ran into them, collapsing into her lap. She whispered something in a language Jake didn't understand, but he could feel the meaning. "You came back, my heart, my friend, my last light." Jake looked away. It felt too private, too real. But then the princess stood up. Still holding Yulo gently in her arms, she turned to him. "Are you the one who helped her?" Her voice was soft, but every word was crystal clear. No accent, no delay. Jake nodded slowly. "I found her. She found me too, I guess." The princess walked closer. She stopped just a few feet away. "You have no idea what you've done." Jake smiled. "A little. Story of my life." The princess looked down at Yulo. "Inside her is a living archive. My father placed a memory seed in her before the invasion. They wanted it. They tortured her, tried to extract it. But her body protected it." Jake frowned. "And now they're coming to finish what they started." She nodded. "They followed the signal. I followed it too, but they are faster now. Crueler. They will burn this planet to find her, and you." Jake took a deep breath. "Then we stopped them." The princess tilted her head. "You're not afraid." "I am," he admitted. "But I'm more tired of running." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she raised her hand and a small device floated from her wrist. It hovered in front of Jake. "Take this. It will protect your body and speak with mine." Jake held it. It was light warm. It attached to his chest and disappeared under his jacket. She smiled slightly. "Now we're linked." Suddenly, the ground shook. The princess turned sharply. From the sky, another ship fell like a spear of fire. Black, sharp, full of smoke and rage. The hunters had arrived. The princess's voice turned cold. "They tracked my jump. They're close." Jake looked at her. "What do we do?" She lifted her hand. Her ship glowed behind her. "We fight." "But how?" "I'm just a mechanic. You fixed her. That makes you more than most." She touched his arm. "You don't have to be a soldier. Just be brave." Jake looked at the sky. flashes of red lights, dark wings, a storm of fire heading their way. And beside him, a glowing alien princess with tears in her eyes and fire in her heart. He nodded. Then let's give them something to be afraid of. It wasn't war yet, but the sky was cracking like it wanted to be. Jake stood on the mountaintop, staring at the black ship falling toward them like a burning star. Behind him, the princess whispered a single word in her alien tongue. The silver ship she arrived in began to glow. Yulo crouched beside Jake, her body tense. The collar on her neck buzzed wildly. The air was thick now, not with rain or fog, but with pressure, like the world was holding its breath. Then the black ship hit the ground. Not a crash, a landing violent and loud. Earth shook. Trees nearby caught fire from the heat. Dust exploded into the air. And from the black ship's side, a door slid open with a hiss. 3 figures stepped out. They didn't walk. They drifted. Tall, armored, their faces hidden behind smooth, black masks. One held a long spear crackling with blue lightning. Another had no hands, only floating metal claws. The third had glowing red eyes and a voice that echoed in the air without speaking. Jake whispered, "You've got to be kidding me." The princess stepped beside him. The hunters of the fold, assassins, ghosts. They do not ask, they do not stop. Jake clenched his fists. So how do we fight them? She looked at him. We don't. Not yet. We run. At her signal, the silver ship opened its ramp, but before they could reach it, a blast of energy flew toward them. It missed by inches, hitting a rock and turning it into dust. Jake ducked. That's a warning shot. The princess shook her head. No, that was a miss. The hunters raised their weapons. Jake grabbed Yulo and ran with the princess toward the ramp. They reached the edge, and suddenly, the metal beneath their feet began to move. Jake's feet were scanned. The ship read him, accepted him, and formed a protective shell around the ramp. They rushed inside as the outer door sealed shut behind them. Inside, the ship came alive. Panels glowed. Screens lit up. The air felt warmer. Jake looked around in awe. This is not science. This is magic, the princess smiled. To your kind, maybe, but it listens. Watch. She waved her hand. The ship rose from the mountain like a feather. Outside, the hunters fired again. Energy blasts hit the shield. The ship shook. Jake grabbed a rail. How strong is this thing? Strong enough to leave, the princess replied. If we help it, Jake frowned. Help it? Suddenly, a control panel floated toward him. Not button shapes, symbols. Tools. It looked like an alien puzzle. The ship was offering him a challenge. You fix machines, she said. Show this one why humans survive. Jake stared at the glowing parts. A broken capacitor. A cracked converter. A failed stabilizer. All basic things, just not from Earth. He smiled. All right, sweetheart, let's see what you've got. In seconds he was moving, using alien tools like pliers, fusing wires with tiny sparks, replacing energy cells with Earth batteries. The ship shuddered, then steadied. Outside, a hunter jumped and latched onto the ship's belly. Someone's? On us. Jake shouted. The princess tapped her wrist. Vent them? Vent what? She pointed to a side panel. Jake opened it and saw cold gas, canisters inside. He rerouted the gas through the lower vents and hit the release. A burst of freezing vapor exploded under the ship. The hunter screamed a high metal shriek and was thrown off, crashing into the rocks below. Jake grinned. That's what I call air freshener. The ship punched upward. Clouds split. Wind screamed past them. Then dashed stars. They broke through the atmosphere. Jake looked through the window. The earth was falling away. He had done it. They had escaped. But the princess didn't look happy. She was quiet. Eyes on a small screen showing red dots tracking ships. Jake came beside her. We made it. She shook her head. No, we only bought time. They know where we're going. Jake looked at the map. One red dot blinked ahead of them, waiting. They're already at the first memory point, she said. Jake stepped back. So what do we do? The princess turned to him, her eyes sharp now, not sad, not scared. Focused. Double quotes. We take it back. They didn't land on a planet. They landed inside one. The enemy base wasn't on the surface of a world. It was hidden deep. Beneath the skin of a dying moon, a hollowed-out core filled with wires, machines, and shadows. The silver ship passed through 3 layers of invisible gates. Each one scanned them, tested them, then let them through. The princess had used a code ancient and dangerous that only the enemy's highest leaders knew. Jake looked out the window. Everything was black, red, and gold, like blood and fire. Mixed with metal. He whispered, "This place feels evil." The princess didn't answer. She was silent now, focused, distant. Yulo sat quietly on the floor, her glow dim but steady. She hadn't spoken since they left Earth's orbit. The ship landed softly on a floating platform. No guards came, no alarms. Just silence and steam. Jake looked at the princess. Is this a trap? She finally spoke. Yes, but it's one we choose. Jake grabbed his tool pack. Then let's spring it. Inside the enemy base, the halls were alive. Not with people, but with walls that breathed, doors that blinked, and floors that hummed like machines in pain. The deeper they walked, the more Jake felt it. This place wasn't built. It was grown. He touched a wall. It was warm. Almost soft. He pulled his hand back quickly. What is this place? The princess walked ahead. A memory prison. They don't just store data, they eat it, reshape it, control it. She stopped in front of a large round door. This is where they took my father. This is where they'll try to take us. Jake stepped beside her. So what's the plan? She looked at him. You make noise. I find the memory. Jake blinked. Excuse me? You're unpredictable. They won't understand you. Confuse them. Distract them. He grinned. That I can do. The door opened. Inside was a wide chamber, dark, except for red lights blinking on tall pillars. At the center, a throne made of bone and wires, and sitting on it, the one Jake feared most, the hunter general. His armor was cracked but strong. His face, part flesh, part metal, was cold and dead. One eye glowed red. The other was missing, replaced by a glass orb filled with stars. He stood slowly. So, the human walks freely into the dark. Jake smiled. Not freely. I used your front door. The general stepped closer. You have no weapon. No rank. You are nothing. Jake kept smiling. That's what makes me dangerous. The general raised his hand. Around the room, black wires rose from the floor like snakes. They reached for Jake, but the moment they touched him, sparks flew. Jake had placed a device under his jacket, one he built from the ship's core. It released a short-range energy burst small enough to hide, strong enough to burn metal. The wires screamed and fell back. Jake jumped forward and punched a console with a heavy wrench. Sirens began to howl. The general growled. You fool, what have you done? Jake shrugged. Just gave your base a fever. At the same time, deep in the shadows, the princess moved. She wasn't wearing armor. She didn't carry weapons, but she was a weapon. She entered the memory vault, passing laser traps, bypassing alien locks. The door opened for her like it remembered who she was. Inside, floating in a glass sphere, was a memory crystal glowing with gold fire. Her father's voice echoed from it. To whoever holds this, know that Lutherus still breathes. We were not born to kneel. We were born to rise. She touched the crystal dot, it shattered into light and flew into Yulo's collar. Far away, the connection was restored. Outside, the base shook. The general turned toward the vault. You brought her here. You are more fool than I thought. Jake stood tall. No, I'm just the warm-up act. Then the wall exploded. Yulo burst in, glowing like a star, faster than the eye could see. The princess followed, her eyes burning, hair flowing like fire. Jake ducked. Now I feel like the sidekick. The three of them stood together as the room filled with guards. Jake raised his wrench. I vote we blow something up. The princess lifted her hand. A wave of energy pushed the guards back. Yulo leapt through the air, slamming into the general. And in the chaos, Jake smiled, because for the first time, the enemy looked confused, and that meant they were winning. The stars were on fire. From the windows of the stolen enemy ship, Jake watched space turn red. Not from sun or heat, but from war. Blazing ships chased each other like angry ghosts. Laser trails burned across the black. He had seen fire on Earth, but not like this. Beside him, the princess stood calm. Her silver armor cracked, her hands shaking, but her eyes steady. Yulo lay curled near the control panel, breathing fast, glowing brighter with each second. The memory inside her, the seed of truth, of history, of freedom, was now active, and that made her the most hunted creature in the galaxy. The general's last message had echoed across every ship before his fall. Bring me the human. Bring me the light. They weren't just running anymore. They were being followed by the entire enemy fleet. Jake tightened a strap on his shoulder pack. Inside were wires, tools, a memory shard, and an old photo of Earth. He looked at the princess. We can't outrun them, she nodded. Then we stopped running. They landed on an abandoned planet once full of green. Now nothing but glass and silence. No people. No cities. Just ancient towers broken in half like snapped bones. But there was one thing still standing, a tall structure buried halfway in the sand. A forgotten signal tower from the old world. It still had power. That was all they needed. Jake set up the beacon. The princess placed her hand on Yulo's collar. A new code unlocked. One final message. Memory upload ready. Last chance to show the galaxy what they tried to erase. Jake looked at the dark sky. And when they arrive? The princess looked at him. Then we hold the line. They didn't have to wait long. The ships came like thunder. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Jake stood on the tower roof. Wind in his face, wrench in one hand, detonator in the other. The princess stood beside him, eyes glowing. Yulo stood between them. Small but burning like a star. Then the first wave hit. Enemy soldiers dropped from ships. Like black rain. Jake pressed the first button. Mines exploded across the field. He shouted, "That's your welcome gift." The princess launched a shockwave that tore through the second wave. Yulo leapt into the air, dodging blasts, striking faster than lightning. But there were two. Many. One ship landed behind them. Jake turned and froze. The hunter general was alive. His body burned, face broken, one leg dragging, but he moved with rage and fire. He aimed at Yulo. And Jake moved. No hesitation. No thought. Just heart. He jumped between them and took the blast full force. Silence. He hit the ground. World spun. The stars faded, and everything went cold. But then he felt something. Not pain. Not death. Warmth. He opened his eyes. Yulo stood over him, crying silently. The princess beside her, hand glowing on his chest. They had brought him back, but not with machines, with memory. Yulo had transferred part of the living memory into him, a gift. He was no longer just human. He was history now. He was part of something greater. Jake sat up slowly. And saw the general standing alone, broken, weapon gone. The princess walked to him. You lost, she said. You're just one voice. The general growled. No, she whispered. We're many now. She touched her wrist, and the tower behind them flashed. The signal burst into the sky Yulo's full memory. The truth of their people. The war. The lies all sent across the stars to every corner of the galaxy that no one could hide it now. Truth was free. The general fell to his knees, defeated. Not by weapons, but by light. 1 week later. Peace. Talks had begun. The hunters had vanished. And in the center of it all was the strange story of a simple human from Earth, who found a lost creature in the woods and changed the fate of an entire star system. Jake stood at the window of the ship, watching stars pass. The princess walked beside him. You could stay, she said. Lutherus would welcome you. Jake smiled. I already stayed longer than I planned, she nodded. Will you ever come back? Jake turned toward her, eyes warm. Home is where the fight ends. Right now, I think Earth needs me too. Yulo padded over, tail flicking, eyes shining. Jake knelt beside her. I'll miss you, girl. A soft hum passed between them, her final message. You saved me first. As Jake stepped into the escape pod, the princess whispered one last thing. You didn't just save her, you saved me too. The pod closed, the stars turned out, and somewhere on Earth, a man would wake up in a quiet cabin, wondering if it had all been real, until one night he'd see a small glow in the woods and hear a familiar voice say, Hello again.